I don't know why. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to yet another interesting Stag Software Test Automation Group meetup. Thanks for taking time and joining in. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday evening. And today we have Jitin Jacob with us, who will be talking about Playwright. Now, Playwright is something very prominently, it seems to be a very promising tool out in the market. So yeah, it's very interesting. And Jitin will run us through all the interesting aspects of that. So hold on to your seats. It's going to be a fun topic, and then definitely a fun talk. Okay, over to you, Jitin. Please tell us a bit about yourself, and then walk us through a Playwright.
Sure. So, hi everyone. Thanks for taking out your time today and attending this session. I'm Jitin. I work with Afterpay as a test automation engineer. So, for those who are not aware of Afterpay, Afterpay is one of the leading buy now, pay later services in the market. So, I work within the merchant services team where retailers are getting onboarded. For our end-to-end testing, we are using Selenium Java, and different project teams use their own automation tools and frameworks actually. For our team specifically, we are using Cypress and Playwright for two different use cases. So we are using Cypress and describe it format, and Playwright with Cucumber actually. So before we start the session, actually, I just want to know how many of you are already using Playwright actually, because I guess this many audience are there. I just want to hear it from you. If there is anyone who is already using Playwright in their teams.
Yeah, please feel free to raise your hands if that's something that you can do.
I know Encino actually. Encino team has Playwright already implemented. NG. Okay. Yeah, I got one hand, two hands.
That's dabbled nice. With it, but that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. So, how many of you are already migrated to any new JS library like Cypress or WebDriver IO or TestCafe? I just want to gauge the audience on the JS understanding. Okay, I got 5-6 hands actually.
We use Codesep.js, but
yeah. Even Playwright supports that also. So
okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's fine. So yeah, that's fine for now. So we will start with the Playwright session actually. So I'll be mainly covering the UI automation area only for Playwright. So there are different aspects for Playwright as well. It can be used in service worker testing also. So we'll be just focusing on the UI automation part actually. So let's start with the presentation. So let's look at the agenda for today. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we will see what is Playwright. We will see what are the core concepts of Playwright. We will see some of the unique features of Playwright with some demo. We will see how the Playwright test can be run in GitHub Actions, which is as a CI pipeline. Then we will see a comparison between Selenium, Cypress, and Playwright. So what is Playwright? So Playwright is just a Node.js library to run automated tests in Chromium, Firefox, and WebKit with a single API. So we will be able to do cross-browser testing. WebKit here means Safari browser. Next, the Playwright's device emulation feature can be used to test our responsive web apps in mobile web browsers. So we will see through these features actually in the demo how we can do the cross-browser testing as well as device emulation. It supports all major language bindings. Even though it's a JS library, it's not only supported in JavaScript or TypeScript, we can also write the same code in Java, Python, and C# as well. Suppose if you are an automation tester who is coming from a Java background or a C# background, still you can actually implement the test using Playwright. The official website is playwright.dev. The current version is 1.14.1. The latest version got released last week, and they have added a patch actually yesterday with some bug fixes, and it's 1.1.14.1, and it's actually maintained by a team at Microsoft now. Now just look at the Playwright evolution actually. So the Playwright has started in 2019 only. So this is one of the latest JS library available in the market, and it's less than 2 years old now. So let's look from 2019 onwards. If you look at the Playwright team now, the same Playwright team has been involved in development of these toolkits actually. The WebKit Web Inspector, Chrome Developer Tools, Chrome DevTool Protocol, and all. So if we look, most of them until Puppeteer actually, they all were mostly a part of Google product actually. The main thing down here is the Puppeteer actually, which started in 2017. In 2017, a team at Google has come up with a JS library called Puppeteer, which was mainly used in automating Chromium related browsers. So so if you look at Puppeteer actually, we will see so many similarities with Playwright as well. In 2019, what happened is some of the team members have moved to Microsoft, and they initially started Playwright as a fork of Puppeteer actually. So that's why I'm saying the API, if you look at the API documentation, they look so similar, and it's less than 2 years old now, and it has reached 1.14 version at the moment. So let's pause down here. Let's look at a simple demo. So are you guys able to see my VS Code now?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first thing which we'll be doing will be the cross-browser testing actually. So before that actually, let's understand the setup actually. So for today's demo, I have prepared the test using JavaScript. So it's the same things which applied for any JS library. We just need to have Node.js installed in our machine, and then once we install the dependencies, we can just start working. So for today's test actually, I am using Afterpay help page actually. Let's look at the help page now. You are able to see my browser as well, right? Yeah. So this is a page which I am using. This is a page where, as a customer or a merchant, actually, I can raise any support-related queries. So the first test we will be looking at the cross-browser scenario as well as device emulation. So let's look at the project setup first. For those who are not aware of JavaScript, actually, all the dependencies are bundled and stored in a file called package.json. So there are two main dependencies actually which everyone needs to be aware of. The first one is Playwright, which is used for UI automation testing. The another one is Playwright test actually, which is being used as the test runner actually. So this is a bit more important here because Playwright didn't have any their own test runner until 1.12 version. This has came in bit recently. So these are the two main JS libraries which I am using. And if you are actually familiar with the JavaScript actually, all the JS libraries will have their own config file to control all the global configuration. So what all browsers we want to run, what's the timeout and all, these are actually controlled by a config file. So when the Playwright has come up with their own test runner, they have actually placed in this config file as well for us to make it easy to run the test actually. Let's look at some options down there in this config file. Timeout, which is actually related to our implicit timeout in Selenium, retries, reporter, workers. So the workers here means just the parallel instances actually. So Playwright supports the running of parallel instances. Now you will see a use section actually. This is like a global to all the browsers actually. So in here we define browsers actually in the form of a section called projects actually. So my screen got stuck for a while. The projects actually, we can see all the browsers actually. So the first one is Chromium actually. In here, I can set a specific channel as well. Like, so if you want to run the test against Chrome, actually, I can set the channel to Chrome. If you want to run the test against Edge, actually, you can set it to Microsoft Edge as well. It also supports Safari as well as Firefox actually. One thing actually, these are not real browsers actually. These are actually patched versions of Safari, but they will have the same rendering capacity just like Safari. And all the tests will run in headless mode by default. So I just explicitly mentioned headless to be false actually. So let's look at our first test actually for now. So our test is very simple actually. We will be navigating to the Afterpay help page. We will be verifying a specific selector actually. So I'll just go to the page and look at the selector. So this is a specific selector actually which I am verifying. I will just verify that this selector contains a text called Afterpay. That's it. That's the only thing which we'll be doing. I hope everyone is familiar with this async await syntax. If not, please have a read through before running these test cases. This test and expect actually, if you see down here, these are actually similar to your jest or a Mocha syntax itself actually. So this means it's a test case actually, and expect is the assertion, and they all come from our Playwright test runner. So now let's run the test actually in parallel so that we can see the Playwright in action. So it comes up with a default command as well, npx playwright test actually. Then we just need to pass in our test case name. Now we can see that the test has triggered in parallel. So first it triggered the test in Chrome. Now it spinned up the text against WebKit actually. So as I said, it's not the actual Safari browser. This is actually a patched version of Safari, and it has the same rendering. So it will unearth all the bugs we will get in Safari as well. Now it started running the test against the Firefox also. Yeah. And, okay. So now let's look at the second feature actually, which is, I think I just closed it before. So let's look at the next feature, which is actually the device emulation actually. So as we were discussing before, there is a specific feature called mobile emulation, which is supported in Playwright. So we don't need a real device actually for testing. We can just make use of the mobile emulation feature from Playwright to test this one. So for the demo purpose, I'm using another config file actually. It is really not required actually in the actual setup. But for the demo, I'm using a config, another config file. In here, I'm just passing in a particular portion called devices actually. So we'll be running the test against iPhone 11 Pro as well as Galaxy Note 3 in landscape mode actually. So these are the two devices I'm using. So this is just a viewport emulation actually. So this test will spin up again the specific viewport of these devices. So let's run the test case actually. Using the same command, but we will use a different config file. So it will be the same test case actually. The first test will be triggered in iPhone 11 Pro in portrait mode actually. The second test will be in Galaxy Note 3 in landscape mode actually. So we can see the test running both in portrait and the landscape mode. Yeah. So you guys are clear, right, with this setup actually?
So you have a separate configuration file altogether for mobile.
Yeah, I just put in, like, it's not actually really required actually. So just for the demo purpose, I just want to separate those two test cases actually. That's why I put in that separate config file actually.
But you can have a single configuration file for web as well as mobile.
Yes, okay. Yes. Yeah, you can just run them in parallel actually. That's why.
Thank you.
Just curious, is it supporting the real device or just a emulation of the browser?
No, currently it's supporting emulation only. There is an experimental support they have released actually. So in that one, there is a support for a real device, but I haven't tried that yet. So that's actually available from 1.13 version onwards. You can try out that one. It's actually just type in experimental Android support in the Playwright official documentation. Yeah.
Right, thanks.
How does this compare to the framework WebDriver IO? So it doesn't support the actual native app testing actually. That's and then we will see through some features as well when compared to WebDriver IO. Yeah. Like we will see the Leon's question and one which was asked by Troyer in one of the next sections actually, why we need actually Playwright actually when compared to Selenium Android. And if you are looking at a real examples actually, I would like to recommend Let's Code from Kaushik YouTube videos actually. They are really nice actually, and he has actually given real-time examples for all the use cases which Playwright can have actually. And just for everyone's understanding, there is a specific GitHub page actually they have published where we can see all the devices available actually. So they got all the latest devices available. I have added this content in the README section. Actually, you can have a list, go through on all the devices available. If you feel that your device is not there, you can raise a separate feature request in GitHub as well. And it's not only device emulation. Actually, we can override some device related parameters as well, like a color schema or a local or time zone as well. So you can have a look through on the emulation section and understand what all parameters we can override using this device emulation feature as well. So now let's go back to the slides again and just hear some boring content from now on as well. So now we will look at the core concepts actually. Now this is some question which I frequently see in their Slack channel as well. What is the architecture behind the Playwright actually? So once you understand the core concepts, we'll be much more clearer regarding the how the Playwright is set up actually. So there are three main concepts in Playwright. One is a browser, the second one is a context, the another one is a page actually. So browser means an instance of Chromium, Safari, or Firefox. A context is an isolated incognito-like session within a browser instance. Basically, a browser can have n number of contexts, and each context is isolated from each other. And if you are observing about that mobile configuration file which I have shown, actually, the device which you have mentioned gets set into the context of it's set into the context as well. And there are some other features of the context as well, which we'll see through later in the demo. Then the next one is a page actually. A context can have n number of pages actually. So a page can be a single tab or a new tab which you are opening or a pop-up window. So what are the features of these pages which are under a context? They all share the same cache and the cookies actually. A browser can have n number of contexts and each context is isolated, and a context can have n number of pages and all the pages will share the same cache and the cookies. And this is it which we need to understand about the high level on Playwright. Let's move further. What are the how we can actually relate to a real app testing actually? Let's say if you have a web app to test actually, and we have two different types of users. One is an admin user and second one is a guest user. So each user logs in and does some actions and logs out. So how we will achieve it through Playwright? So we'll be just making use of the hooks actually. In the before all hook, we'll spin up one browser actually, and in the before hook of each test case, we'll be creating a context. So for admin user, we'll be creating one context, and for the guest user, we'll be creating another context. And where required, we create pages actually. Suppose if you are testing only single tab scenario, we'll create only one page. If you are creating multi-tab scenarios, we'll create multiple pages. And at the end of the test actually, we will be tearing down the context as well as pages actually. So in the after hook actually, we'll tear down the context as well as the page. And at the very end of the test case actually, we'll be tearing down the browser actually. And this is which makes Playwright much more faster actually, because we'll be using the same browser throughout the whole test run actually. So I hope this is clearer as well. Next, the browser context. So why we need a browser context instead of a browser actually? So if you go and restart a browser actually, which is there in other JS libraries or Selenium, it will result in slow instantiation. It's a huge memory overhead as well. And what are the advantages of creating browser context? It works in full isolation. It results in faster instantiation as well. And it also results in low overhead as well. There are some more features we will be seeing while going forward actually. And this makes the test much more faster in Playwright actually. And there are some real use cases as well which people have tried when compared to Selenium and Cypress. And this Playwright is actually running tests faster than them actually. Let's pause down here and look at some more demo contents as well. Now we will look at another interesting feature, which is weights actually. So before we jump into the weights actually, So there is already a product which is launched in the market, which is called QA Wolf actually, and it provides actually no code automation. So suppose if you are not familiar with the scripting, actually, you can check that tool actually, and it will the inside the tool actually, it's by default it's making of this Playwright CLI, the Playwright commands only to make the codeless UI automation. So let's look at the weights actually. So here actually we'll be doing some comparison between Cypress as well. So I hope everyone is familiar with the implicit and explicit weights in Selenium 2. So we'll be seeing around 2 different types of weights in Playwright. The first one will be auto weight actually, and the second one will be a custom weight feature actually. So we are just seeing the custom weight feature down here. So if we are navigating to a specific URL, we can specify a property like wait until actually. So this will have 3 different options. First is DOM content loaded, load, and network ID. The first event which is happening in the page when we actually spin up a browser is it actually loads the DOM, then it actually loads the CSS as well as the images, then it reaches a load state. After that, it actually all the network calls becomes ideal and reaches a network ideal state. So we can explicitly mention this property where required actually. Like it depends on your use case. Suppose if you have a big map in your page, you don't want the entire map to get loaded, you just want the text box to be there, you can just mention this property. And when we do a comparison with Cypress by default makes the page to go until this state actually, network ideal. Then only it will start doing some actions on the page. That makes the Cypress test also much more stable when compared to Selenium. The next is wait for selector actually. Next thing, so this is a selector which you have seen in the previous demo as well. So in here we can specify until what state actually a selector we want to be available actually, whether the selector is available in the DOM or a selector is not available in the DOM or selector is visible and hidden. So there are minor differences only. So attached means the element is actually available in the DOM. Detached means element is not available in the DOM. Visible means element is available and it has a non-empty bounding box around it. So that's a default state actually. The visible is the default state which is available, and the opposite though of that is hidden, and we can explicitly mention that state also. Suppose if we don't find an element until we reach the timeout, then this will throw an error actually. Says the element is not available. And finally, our favorite option, which is thread.sleep actually. And this is what which makes a page to wait for 10 seconds actually. And these are actually custom waits in Playwright. We will see the auto waits a bit more by going forward. Now let's look at another interesting feature, which is page.eval actually. Let's say if you are more familiar in writing document.query selector, or if you are a web scrapper or a developer, then you will be more frequently writing a document.query selector to get the contents of the DOM. I'm just giving you a simple example. I'm trying to query the same element using the document.query selector, and I'm just finding the inner text from it. So it has been displayed as Afterpay now. So how can we achieve that in Cypress? That's the first question. There is a specific API documentation for that also. There is a method called side.document where we can actually pass in this one and get the this value. In the Cypress has made it much more easy by giving an option called page.evaluate. So we just need to pass in this expression down here in the page.evaluate. It will evaluate the expression. Then what I'm doing down here, I'm just trying to compare whether they are actually the same actually. So whatever expression which I evaluated using document.query selector, as well as whatever which I evaluated using the CSS selector are actually correct or not. I'll just run this test case actually just for just to see the command line output actually. And yeah, so we got the CSS selector as well as the page eval output to be Afterpay. So this is actually helpful in some scenarios actually. Let's look at one scenario which I had in my project as well. So we were actually testing an application where a merchant is integrated. Let's say if you have a Meyer, actually you are purchasing a product through Meyer, and we have Afterpay integrated. So after purchasing the product, actually we will be getting a final detail page actually says, okay, this is the product which you have purchased, and this is the afterpay order number, this is the merchant order number, and this is how we are shipping the product actually. So we have a use case where we need to actually extract some of the order IDs from that page actually. So I found it a bit difficult to actually get that elements using the inner text actually, or any other method. So I have used the page.evaluate and document.query selector to extract that information. And this is actually a real use case, so which would be helpful for UI automation in some scenarios as well. Now let's go back to the slides and look at the other contents as well. Is there any queries or something? Yeah, sure. Yeah, there is no queries actually for now. I'll continue with the slides now. So what are the test runners available with this actually? So we have already seen the Playwright test runner, which actually we can use the test and expect and all. It supports Gesture, Jasmine, Ava, and Mocha as well. So all of them are using the describe it actually. So we can just mention describe it and just run the test cases. You could also write your test cases in Cucumber as well. So you are in BDD syntax. And these are all JS-based test runners. Suppose if you are coming from a Java background and if you are comfortable using JUnit or TestNG, feel free to do so. They are also, we can make use of it. If you're coming from Python, you can make use of PyTest. If you're coming from C#, you can make use of NUnit as well. So we can use any test runner based on the language bindings which we are having. Now the reporting section, for the terminal level, it supports dot, list, and line. And for the other reports, it supports JSON, XML. And the main thing to be noted down here is the HTML report actually. They have come up with an experimental ALU support in 1.13 version, and it's in the last version only they have released actually. So we need to install another package actually to get that HTML report out from Playwright. So now let's look at the unique features of Playwright actually. Is it clear actually? I didn't see.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So we'll go to the next feature actually, which is geolocation. Before that, we'll see what is Autovate as well. So so actually I have added these links into the README as well. So before doing any specific check action actually. So what does Playwright do internally? That's what this page actually showing us actually. I have taken a simple example for click as well, just understand how the click is working. Okay, so if I say page.click actually, before doing the click actually, it internally does all these actions actually. So it checks whether that specific element is attached in the DOM. It checks the element is visible. It checks whether the element is able. It receives all the events and it is enabled. Then it performs a click action actually. And this is what makes the Playwright much more better when compared to Selenium and other libraries which are available in the market. And this specific feature is there for most of the UI level interactions. Especially I like it for the fill and click actually will be more frequently using, and this makes the test much more stable as well. Now let's look at the.
Sorry, Jitin, can you please repeat this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll show a demo actually. I'll show a demo, then it makes it much more clear actually. I'll repeat it again. Suppose if I'm going to click on something, let's say if I want to click on a specific button actually. So in Selenium, what happens is, okay, just we say click actually, that means it goes and clicks there actually. That's it, right? It doesn't does any specific actions or something before doing the click actually. So what Playwright is doing, just before doing that click actually, it checks whether that specific element is attached in the DOM actually. If it is attached, it checks whether it is visible. Then it checks whether the element is actually stable. Then it checks actually, it receives all the events actually. If you are clicking, it checks whether it receives all the pointer events. Then it checks whether the element is actually enabled. So once these actionability checks has been completed, then it performs the click actually. We are going to just see that in the demo. So to make it much more clearer actually. The next feature which we are going to do is geolocation. So I'm just combining these two test cases down here, Autovate and the geolocation. For those who are not aware of geolocation, so geolocation is a feature we want to utilize, where we want to test some of the features from the actual location of a user. Suppose if you are testing a specific food delivery application, or suppose you are testing actually the Uber itself actually. So they all make use of our Google Maps geolocation feature to understand the actual user location and check some of the features around that location. For our specific test case, what we are going to do, so I have actually formulated a real-time use case actually. So I hope everyone is familiar with MCG in Melbourne. Does everyone know what's MCG or?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So my test case is, so let's say we went to watch a match at MCG. Okay. After the match, we are actually hungry. So we want to eat something. So I just type in for Hungry Jacks around the area so that it will display all the Hungry Jacks. Okay. That's my real-time test case actually. So let's see how we can implement that through Playwright. Okay. So I'll repeat the use case again. So we are actually on the MCG, and we want to see all the Hungry Jacks around the MCG, and we will just make use of our Playwright's geolocation feature to achieve that functionality. So I just created another config file for the same. Just to make it clear, there was another question before as well. This is not actually required. Just for the demo, I'm just making use of another config file. So in here, I just put in a device actually. This actually gets set into the context actually. So this is the browser, and this value of a device gets set into the context actually. And I have put in 2 extra parameters down here. I just given a permission of geolocation, and I set the coordinates of Melbourne Cricket Ground as well. Let's say if you want to enable the Google Maps, you might need to explicitly give a permission actually. Like I want to give the permission to use my location. So that's what I'm doing down here. I given a permission of geolocation. I have given the coordinates of MCG. Now let's look at the test case itself actually. So what we are doing, we will go to the MCG. We will check for Hungry Jacks around the area. So for the demo purpose, we will pause down here just to see what's happening in the test. So we will also see through the auto wait feature down here to make it easy. So I'm just explicitly giving a higher timeout so that this will not get stopped actually while demoing. So it's just to open the Google Maps with the coordinates of MCG. Okay, it actually shown me a debugger option as well on my hope both the windows are actually clear, the inspector and the Google Maps. So yeah, so now the next action which you are going to do, suppose if I click this step over actually, there are so many options down here, we'll see through them later. If I click step over actually, it will show what's the next action which I'm going to perform. So that's a click actually. I'm going to click on this button to verify that I'm actually on MCG itself, if the geolocation has been done correctly. Now let's look at the auto wait feature actually. So whatever we have seen down there in the table, before doing the click actually, it's actually performing all these actions. It waits for the element to be visible, enable, and stable. Then it understands that the element is visible, enable, and stable. It scrolls into the view if required. It has done scrolling. Check that element receives the pointer events actually. So it actually receives a click event at this center of that button. Element does receive the pointer events. Then it performs the click action actually. So I hope the auto wait feature is clearer for you guys now actually. So this will be there for every specific user action which Playwright will be doing, and this will be visible from the debug logs. Now let's look at our feature. So now we are going to click on this specific your location button so that we verify that we are actually on MCG. Once you click on it, it will perform the action, that specific line of code action. So it reloaded the page. Now we saw that we are actually on MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground, birthplace of Test cricket. Now the next action, we can see this actionability checks down in the bottom. Now I'm going to click on this specific text box actually. So if you look at this explore button, you can see the locator also. You don't need any extension down there to understand the Playwright locators also. You can just see through it. Now I will do the click actually. Now I'm going to type in Hungry Jacks. So I have put in a delay explicitly to make sure that I type in just like a real user. And just for everyone's note, actually, these two actions will not wait for the debugger actually, because this is a keyboard action and it's actually waiting for a network request to complete. So once I click step over, it will load the page and it will display all the Hungry Jacks around the area. So it typed in Hungry Jacks, it loaded all the Hungry Jacks around the area. Now we can see that this is Hungry Jacks next to me. So now we can go there and have our burger. And this is how we can actually test the geolocation feature in Playwright. I'm just closing the debugger now, and we will see this in detail later. Okay. Now let's there was a question. I will actually show the Playwright inspector and all in the next demo. Shadow DOM I will come actually. Troyer has asked a question actually when we want to call other APIs actually. So there is some option for mocking and stubbing as well in Playwright actually. You can make use of that, or you can make use of the before hooks actually. There's a fixture itself actually in Playwright. So that way we can make you create the data where required. But I'm not actually showing them in the demo because that topic is a bit vast actually. So we can make use of the fixtures actually to create the data. And if you want to use mocking or stubbing, you can make use of those functionality as well. So now let's look at the next feature, which is actually the visual testing. So this is an interesting topic, and this has been widely discussed in our organization as well. So for those who are not aware of what is visual testing, suppose if you want to test a web page that is visually correct actually. So I want to make sure that this application is visually the same even before and after any new deployments which are happening. So how can we do that through Playwright? So Playwright has an inbuilt functionality called visual testing, where we can actually store an image for our test case inside a test directory. So this is the actual image which I have already stored. Now let's go back and see the actual JS library behind Playwright itself actually. So there is a JS library called Pixel Match. Suppose if you are not using Playwright, if you are using JavaScript, have a look through on the Pixel Match actually. It's very nice actually. So they have actually given a sample output actually. Suppose this is the expected result I am storing in my code base. And when the test case runs, I can get an actual result actually. So there is small differences down there here. And if there are any differences, it will generate a visual difference snapshot actually. So if the test case passes, then it will not generate these two screenshots. If the test case fails, then it actually generates a actual and a different screenshots as well. So let's run through a happy scenario where devs have done everything perfectly fine. So let's look at the test case. We'll go to the page. We'll compare that whatever screenshot which you are taking is actually equivalent to this home.png. So it actually appended the my project names as well into that screenshot.
Does this require any code change, or is it like inbuilt library we are using?
No, it doesn't require any code change. Playwright by default uses Pixel Match actually. So you don't need to install anything else, nothing. Just these two lines of code only you need to place in. That's the beauty of Playwright actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jitin, do we have to keep updating that baseline image?
So there are command line parameters as well. Suppose if your application is changing, let's say if you got a new button, which is very common in Afterpay, you got a new button down here, and then actually the visual testing will surely fail actually. It's the same case with any tool which you are using. Then you can pass in another parameter like update snapshot to update that baseline image. That's the same case with any visual testing tool which you are using.
Yeah, I had come across and I'm using Percy. Have you heard about Percy?
So these are all paid options actually. But if you have an open source version, so you can actually make use of visual match like that Pixel Match itself. You just need to write one function actually out of that.
Okay. Yeah, but here you need to keep updating if something changes. Baseline should be updated.
Like these are open source tools actually. So the Percy and all, you need to pay $100 actually per month. And if you are actually a startup, I guess they don't have that much money also to spend on.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm
even on the same line, does it create the first time snapshot? Like, when you are running it for the first time and then it will
correct.
create the image, or you have to put the image?
No, I haven't shown that scenario. First time when it runs, it actually fails actually, and then it
Okay.
creates this screenshot.
Okay,
But that's still fine. But yeah, that will show an error during the first time, but after that it will work fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
And so where are the screenshots located? Are they downloaded to your machine?
Yeah. So I'm just coming to that point actually. So our test case has passed actually. So there is no specific, there's a test result directory got generated. And so since the test case has passed, actually it will not generate any screenshot actually. It will clean up the directory. So now let's see the error scenario. Let's say a scenario where our devs have broken some of the code and we will get an error page. So let's see that scenario. So we got navigated to an error page. Okay, let's look at the command line terminal output. It says snapshot comparison has failed because this line of code has failed. Now let's look at the test results directly. So now when the comparison fails, actually it generates all these three images. So now we can see the expected image. This is the baseline image which I have. Now this is my actual image. So the page you are looking does not exist. That's nice. And then this is the difference screenshot. So whatever portion which you are getting in red, actually, that's what it says as the difference. So if you look at the top portion, actually, this top banner didn't get changed actually. The Afterpay logo, the Get in Touch and all, that all remain the same. That's why it's shown in gray itself. And whatever you see there in the red actually, so that's the visual difference which you are getting. Yeah, this is how we do the visual testing with the Playwright.
Jitin, where are the baseline images stored?
Here. So there is a directory here actually. So it needs to be part of our repo. And when we run the test case for the first time, it actually creates a directory with this screenshot actually. And then if the test case fails, it creates another directory like this with the expected, actual, and difference.
So you don't have to pass like a reference to your baseline image?
This is our reference image.
Okay. So I mean in your test, where are you passing the reference that you need to check against this baseline?
This one. So this one. This is my reference image actually. So it just appended with some project name and my Windows machine name. That's it. It says home-project name-Windows. That's it.
Okay.
So you can go through this threshold actually later. Let's move forward with the next one, which is trace viewer. This is also an interesting feature in Playwright. And this is actually helpful in debugging our test cases actually. Let's say if our test case has failed. Normally in the other tools, we have options of screenshots and the videos actually. So we need to go through screenshots or we need to go through videos to analyze any test case failures. Playwright comes up with an awesome option actually called trace viewer, where we can actually do the frame by frame analysis. So I'm just navigating back to the config file. I just put in an option trace retain on failure. That means this trace gets retained in the test result directory only if a test case fails actually. Okay, so you can see down there in here also you can see a trace actually. Let's run this test case. So I have put in an assertion explicitly so that the test case will fail. There's a failure assertion I have marked down here in line 11. So I will run a test case so that the test will fail so that we can analyze what happened in that failed case actually. So I'm not too much going into that failure. So the test case has failed. So now I want to see what has failed actually. So in the command line, I can see an option. Okay, this assertion is not matching. That's why. Let's say if you got some issue which is not actually understandable by the command line actually. So we can make use of this trace option actually. So this has actually generated the entire path of the test case itself actually for us. If you look at the top banner actually, we can see what's happened in the test case itself actually. Like it took almost 1 second for the page to get loaded. This is actually your our DevTools console performance tab itself. And on the left hand side, we can see the specific actions. So it actually loaded the page and it waited until the default state called loaded. And there is a before and after snapshot as well. In here, we can analyze, okay, what went wrong in this step and all. Now, if you go to the next action, this is the specific thing which you have seen in the debugger as well. So this is a specific click I am going to do. It actually is showing us all the actionability checks as well. You can see if there is any console error, you can access the network tab also down here. You can also see the source code also down here actually for the analysis. Now there is a red tick down here. Let's see what's there in this red tick actually. So there is a 403 actually. That's why it was failed actually. Might be okay. There is a network code also with a 403, and the response body also get highlighted. You can see the source code also. Now let's look at the assertion. In here, actually, it's actually saying I need help with the refund rate. Okay, that's why our test case are failed. We have passed in you failed actually, but the actual value is I need help with the refund or return. This is how we can debug the test actually, and this is something unique which I have seen in Playwright. Yeah, so you can try out these things actually once you get a chance. Now let's look at the last feature actually, which is actually the inspector actually. Let's say you want more debugging actually, like these options are not enough. We want more debugging to be there. So we will pause the page actually, then we will see what's happening in that page. So don't worry about the test cases and all for this one. So we are trying to see what's there in that debugging feature, which we have seen during the geolocation. Okay. We have a record feature where we can record the test scripts actually. Then we have few different options down here. The first one is explore actually. Suppose if you want a specific locator actually, you are not aware what is the locator for a specific element in the page. You can just click on it and click on that element. It will actually give you the locator itself, text equal to help center. So all the Playwright locators you can obtain actually using this one. And then there are two different actions actually. This one actually, if you want to navigate line by line actually to see what's happened, you can make use of this step over option. Suppose if you have understood what went wrong in the test case, you can just click on resume, it will end the test case. Just navigate through and see what's happening. So this is the thing which you have seen down in the snapshot as well. It's going to click on this button. Now if I click resume actually, it says okay, we understood what's the issue in this particular test case. Now it will close down the debugger as well. So it does all the actions in the test case, and it actually done the debugger. These are some of the major unique features in Playwright. And let's see through one small thing as well before we move forward. So let's say if we want to run them in the CI pipeline actually. So today we will see actually how we can run them in the GitHub Actions actually. So GitHub Actions is a CI pipeline which comes along with the GitHub actually. There is a specific action tab. This is a source code actually which I am having, and there is a specific actions tab actually. So here we can trigger any build pipeline which we want to trigger. So I can see that there is a change happened 1 hour ago. And this pipeline gets triggered to a YAML actually. Don't worry too much about this flow at the moment. So just worry about this one. If there are any changes happens to the master branch, then it will trigger a workflow actually in the CI pipeline. So it will install all the dependencies and just run the test cases actually. So I'm just passing in the cross-browser test case down here with a simple change actually. Let's make a small change in the README so that it triggers the workflow. I'm in the master branch. I'm going to make a small change. I'm going to push the source code into the master. Just for the demo only. Don't do that in your projects. Okay, we can see that our pipeline has now been triggered actually. Let's see through what's happening inside the pipeline. I'll just give you, you don't have to understand the pipeline thing actually for a, in a whole detail actually. So it just set up the job actually. It's trying to check in the code actually, which we have actually. So it checked in the code. It's actually setting up a latest version of Node into that machine. Node version 10 is enough actually for our test to run. Now it's actually installing the dependencies actually. One thing I forgot to mention is Playwright actually has some bundled browsers available for WebKit, Safari and Chromium. So it's actually downloading and installing all these bundled browsers along with the Playwright dependencies. Now, It's actually saying it's downloading these builds actually for Firefox and Chromium. Now it's running the test case actually. So it's run the same command which I ran before for the cross-browser testing. It triggered the cross-browser test actually. Yeah, it ran the test against Safari. Now it ran the test against Firefox, and it will slowly start running the test against the Chromium as well. Yeah, it passed the test case, and our build will be marked as successful now. Yeah, our build is successful. This is how we do a simple pipeline with for cross-browser testing with Playwright. So we have seen through the demo, we have seen through some of the CI pipeline as well. Now let's look at the comparison. Let's see if there is any queries. Yeah, there are a few queries actually. I will try to answer them at the end of the session. Let's see through the comparison now actually. Like someone was asking, okay, how it is better from other automation tools which you have in market. The first thing is about the language bindings. So Selenium supports all default major language bindings. Cypress supports JavaScript and TypeScript. Playwright supports JavaScript or TypeScript, Java, Python, and C# as well. Selenium, it's an open source one. Cypress, I would say majority of the features are free, but the dashboard feature is not free. And if you want to do parallel test run, you need to buy a paid plan from them. Playwright, all the features are free. Selenium, we have explicit and implicit waits. Cypress, by default, wait for all the network calls to complete. Playwright, we have already seen there is an auto wait and a custom wait feature. Selenium, it supports all major browsers. Cypress supports Chromium Firefox, and WebKit are supported in Playwright. With the exceptions that IE is not supported in these Cypress and Playwright, you might need to use Testcafe if you still want to go ahead with IE at some point. Mobile emulation, yes, if you have a real device, we can do the mobile emulation. Cypress actually, no, we cannot actually do the mobile browser testing, but there are indirect ways actually. We can actually change the viewport actually in the Cypress.json and then do the mobile emulation testing. Playwright, yes, we have seen through where there are a variety of devices available where we can actually do the mobile emulation. Now, with regard to these three scenarios, these are very much important. Actually, I will explain it a bit more detail down here in the multi-tab, iframe, and multi-domain. So I'm not going to Cypress. We'll just stick to, I'm not going to Selenium. I will stick to Cypress and Playwright to see what's in there actually. With regard to the multi-tab scenarios, Cypress doesn't support multi-tab scenarios, which you need to keep in mind if you are testing some application which involves multi-tab. So if you want to open the second tab, you still need to open that tab in the first tab itself. And there is no way Cypress is going to support that. That's the message from the team. iframe support, in the earlier versions, they don't have iframe support actually. In the recent version, they have come up with iframe support. Now, the third one is multi-domain actually. This is very much important. Let's say if you want to do a multi-domain testing. So what is multi-domain? Let's say if you want to google.com in one test case and then you want to shift to apple.com actually. So what's the real use case behind this multi-domain? So let's say if you have written some code actually for authentication. Let's say you are using a Microsoft-based authentication actually, like OAuth2 if someone is familiar, where if you try to give in our credentials, then it checks in the Azure Active Directory first actually whether the user is actually valid. Then it goes to a Microsoft site actually to check actually whether the token is actually correct. Then it actually makes sure that the token is correct, then actually logs the user into the site. This will involve navigating to multiple super domains, and this scenario is not currently supported in Cypress. So if you are doing a POC, just try to make sure that this scenario can be handled through Cypress actually. And there's a ticket already open in the Cypress GitHub page actually. So they are trying to fix it, I guess, but not sure when the fix will come through. Playwright, all these scenarios are supported. Parallel execution, yes, all are supported. Cypress, you need to buy a paid plan. Test runners and assertions. Cypress only supports their inbuilt things only. Like if someone already worked on Cypress, they might be aware. You need to use their own test runner actually. You cannot use a Just or a Mocha inside Cypress actually. But in Playwright, you can make use of Just or Mocha. If you are familiar with the Just in JavaScript or Mocha, you can make use of Just Playwright options to run the test cases. The same with Selenium. And if you are using other language bindings like C# or Java, you can make use of TestNG as well. And I have marked in few gray areas and few areas where this Playwright is shining. And except for the IE testing, I think Playwright is actually much more better than Cypress. And it actually has a edge over Selenium for this weights concepts actually. Hope it's clear actually. Let's look at some additional capabilities. There was a question which came in initially. How do we handle data? We can make use of fixtures. You can actually intercept the network activity and check what's the status of the network request. We can make use of it for stubbing and mocking. It supports shadow piercing selectors actually. I think I missed to explain actually, like Playwright supports all the types of selectors like ID, CSS, XPath and all. But inside the Shadow DOM, we can only put in CSS selectors. You don't have to do any specific configuration down here. Suppose if you want to make use of Shadow DOM, just make use of CSS selectors actually. Just call the selector inside the Shadow DOM. It has native events for mouse and keyboard. It doesn't support, it's native events, not for JavaScript click actually. It supports upload and download files. It supports parallel instances through workers. It supports CA integration through custom Docker images. So there's a Docker file I have placed in there in the repo also. So if someone is actually familiar with Docker, they can run through the test case. And recently I wrote an article as well on how to integrate a Playwright test to Google Cloud. If you have enough time, just have a read through on that documentation through. It supports third-party integration with Applitool, Moon, and Source Labs as well. If you want to do visual testing using Percy, if someone was asking, I guess that's also supported through Playwright. What are the limitations? So there are only few limitations. You cannot run the browser test in IE. Playwright team has already clarified it will involve a lot of engineering efforts, so they are not going to do that scenario. You cannot test the APIs directly actually. In Cypress actually, they have a good feature actually. There is a side.request method available where we can test the APIs with Cypress. So you suppose if, so that's our use case behind Cypress and Playwright in our team actually. So we have a scenario where we want to test a limited UI as well as majority of APIs actually, where we use the Cypress actually. And we don't have any multi-tab scenarios, or we don't want to run the test in parallel. So there we went ahead with Cypress. But in Playwright, it's not directly supported. Suppose if we have any HTTP library which can make any library which can make HTTP code, just like a request promise or a super test or anything in their own language binding, you can combine it with Playwright actually. So we can run the test using Playwright, just make the HTTP code, make sure that assertions with the Playwright expect actually.
So in that case, if as long as you use the Playwright runner and the assertions, it will still somehow hook into the reports and the debugging utilities and everything, right? Like even if you use some other API library.
So by default actually I'm using this test runner actually. So if I'm using unless I'm using this test runner, it will generate all the results actually. It's just a even Playwright itself is a JS library, so I just need to use another library down here actually. That's it.
Yep. So isn't that something you considered, or there was more reasons to move to Cypress for that specific use case?
For that specific use case, so I cannot actually disclose it here actually. So there was few specific scenarios I have actually. Okay. So that's why I went ahead with Cypress. So some of them are actually covered in the slides itself. Okay. So it depends on your use case actually, you can read through. Yep. There is a specific use case for me in Playwright as well, which is actually multi-tab scenario. That is not actually supported in Playwright. That's why we moved ahead. That is one scenario I'm saying. That's why we used the Playwright.
And if you use CodeCept.js, that has inbuilt Playwright comes with that, and it does support API testing. If someone is looking for a tool having both UI as well as API.
There is a bit of a learning curve involved in that as well. The syntax is a bit different. If you are able to learn it, then that also you can make it. So that's right.
Out of interest, does anybody still use Internet Explorer?
Even Microsoft stopped supporting it.
But there are actually companies actually. There are tickets raised in GitHub actually. against Cypress and Playwright itself by some teams, healthcare teams and insurance companies actually, because they have lots of use cases still running in IE11 actually. So if you, since I guess some government sites in Australia might have the test in IE also, so they also cannot actually use this latest JS libraries for testing. But I had asked this question to the Microsoft team actually for how, is there any way they can do it actually? They said they are actually evaluating this feature. So let's stay tuned actually for the future releases. Upcoming releases, someone asked about the real device testing. They have released an experimental Android support. I haven't read through the documentation, so I don't know the extent of the support yet. They have a plan to extend it to iOS as well. So there may be a testing coming up in the future. But if you want to do mobile testing, you can make use of WebDriver IO for the native apps actually. I think that's a better option if you have both web and mobile. There's an experimental Electron.js support released actually. So those who are not aware what is Electron.js, it's actually a technology to build desktop apps using JavaScript. So our Visual Studio Code is a good example of Electron.js. There is a Go language support coming soon. So I'm not sure like who is using Go actually, but there is a ticket actually, and it has so many upvotes in there in GitHub. That's why they have implemented the feature. And one of the Playwright developer has actually introduced a documentation also online. It's available online. You can just go through it if you want to use Go. They have come up with an experimental React and Vue selector engines. It has been released last week actually. So I don't know how does it work through. So if you're actually doing a POC, just install the latest version and see if you can make use of this specific option to support React and Vue selectors. And before I take up any questions actually, so Playwright has been an amazing tool actually. So the only difficulty which I came across while using Playwright was its page object model actually. So this there is a lot of documentation it's available. You can get their support through GitHub or Slack actually. They are actually responding much more faster actually to all the issues. But there is no specific code base or examples I could see where someone has implemented a good page object model or a good design pattern actually. So we are actually using Cucumber actually. I found I had to do some engineering, some changes actually in the framework itself to make it reusable design pattern. So after that actually everything has went well, and it has been an amazing thing for us actually, which supports cross-browser testing and the parallel execution. Let's see through your questions now.
I think you'll find a fair few scattered in the chat window.
Okay.
Jitin, sorry, I mean, I'll just interrupt. You mentioned that it's a good like cross-browser and parallel execution. So Test Cafe also has like, similar cross-browser and a parallel execution. I mean, we compared with the Cypress. How does it stand with the Test Cafe one?
Yeah, there are only very minor differences actually with the Test Cafe. That's why I just asked the question initially. So if you look at the documentation actually, so I haven't worked with too much around the Test Cafe. So if you want to do any native event actually, just say keyboard press or a mouse click actually, they are all supported through the JavaScript clicks actually. It's not a native event actually. So there are specific native events available in Playwright actually. So let's say page.mouse, page.keyboard actually. That will stimulate the actions just like a real user actually. So that helps us bit more in getting user-related scenarios. What's the disadvantage of using those clicks is that if the element is actually hidden in the page, still it will go and click on that element actually. So that may not unearth some of the bugs. That's one scenario, but it's not a good use case also. Then next feature is this auto wait thing actually. There is a similar wait functionality in Test Cafe as well, which I have seen. But this auto wait seems to be much more stable than much of the other tools which I have seen. Then this debugging things as well. I found Cypress to be good in some cases actually, but if something fails actually, so you cannot print anything to the console. If I put a console.log, actually, if you are familiar with Cypress, you cannot print them to the console. It will actually go to the actual browser console actually. So, or you need to pause the page there and see the side.log actually. So that's something which I found it bit awkward actually, because I am used to this console logs actually, and Playwright has come up with so many debugging options like this trace viewer actually. That's one good thing. Then the inspector is there, you can debug. Then they have an inbuilt visual testing, and these all use cases when we work out together actually. So that gives an edge actually. But still, if you want to test the applications in IE, or you want to do some, I think mobile testing is also there in Testcafe. Still, I guess the Testcafe, it's better to stick to Testcafe.
Yeah, I just found like, you know, this debugging with Playwright, it looks so amazing that all those features of traceability and inspector, which I really miss in Testcafe. Thanks, Chintan.
Yeah. So
yeah, that will actually reduce your learning curve as well.
Yeah. So the first question, I think Leon's question I already answered actually. What are the two main reasons actually? So that's what we just discussed actually. The cross-browser testing, the auto-wait feature, especially you need to buy a paid plan actually. The main thing which I saw with the Cypress is that suppose if you are building a smaller web application, that's okay. You can run your test in Cypress actually. I don't mind actually. But like most of us are actually running enterprise level applications test automation, right? So we have use cases where we want to run test in parallel actually. So that will surely happen at some point of time, and you need to buy a paid plan actually. So that's I think that's the main thing which I saw in Cypress actually. And in our case actually, if there are options actually, there are ways to actually mitigate that scenario actually. But that's something which is better in Playwright. We can just make use of the workers concepts. How does this compare to JavaScript test runner, WebDriver IO? Yeah. So we don't have auto wait feature in WebDriver IO. And the mobile testing is there in WebDriver IO, which is a better advantage actually. But some of these debugging options and the visual testing, it supports in WebDriver IO as well. Some of the debugging options and all, it's still better in Playwright. Yeah, YouTube link I can share. The Shadow. Yeah, Shadow DOM selectors actually supported, but you just need to use CSS selectors actually. How to open Playwright Inspector? You just need to use this. There are two different ways actually. If you use this page inspector, you just need to use this page.pause actually. That's how you can open the inspector. There's an alternative way as well. If you set some debug level logs, actually it will open it up. Yeah, calling the APIs. Do we have a default stub server like a Testcafe? Yeah, these specific options I haven't yet analyzed actually. They have come up with a recent concept called fixtures actually. So wherein we can actually define all the test data, which includes our scenarios for stubbing and mocking as well. So there actually these scenarios we can address actually. Can we open multiple browser tab? Yeah. We can open the multiple browser tab as well actually. So it's actually this concept scenario which I mentioned. So it will be a new page actually. Instead of page.click actually, it will be page1.click will be mentioned. How do you handle date? How do you handle date-based test cases? Especially a result set with a rolling window. You want to click on any specific date selector which you mentioned, Alan Cox?
He has left the meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I think you can just click on any selector actually. Can we use pixel match with Cypress? Yes, you can use it actually. That's a good question as well. So you need to write some code in here as well. So there is a specific option .side.task actually. So you might have to try it out actually. So I just given it a try and I lost it for a while actually. So there's a specific option .side.task actually. So you cannot install any normal libraries and use it in the Cypress test actually if you already used the Cypress. So that's where they come up with this side.task actually. So what you can do in this side.task is that suppose if you have a file server like a files FS module actually, or you want to interact with Playwright itself actually in Cypress. So you can just put that in the package.json, and then you need to write that code in the side.task actually. Suppose if you are able to implement that specific feature in side.task, inside the test actually, Cypress test, you can do a call actually. I guess call that image comparison function which is there in the side.task, then you can get it done. But it won't be straightforward. You might have to put a lot of effort into that one. Does the default red runner have host to control test execution flow. Can it be configurable different? Yes. Yeah. So, so what the question Perry has asked is, does it actually how does it work actually, which is controlled to other test runners as well. So I will tell a bit about the background as well for this one. So initially, Playwright doesn't have its own test runner. So it was actually dependent on the native JS test runners like Mocha and Jest actually. So Playwright was only doing the element clicks and all in the UI. So actual tests were run using Mocha or Jest actually. So we were able to make use of them in the test actually. But when they make use of the test runner, all the options are actually available. So there is a default config file also is there where we can make use of the Playwright's test runner. Yeah, Cypress image diff plugin here. Okay. Can we run browser test actually? I guess we can connect to some or most of the major third-party integrations as well. Quality of documentation and community. So Playwright has a vast API documentation, so you need to read through them in few times actually to understand all the specific scenarios. Community-wise, you need to suppose if you have any query, you need to raise them in GitHub, or there is a Slack channel as well available. Feel free to post the questions there. There is a LinkedIn group as well, which is maintained by Max. Actually, he's a Playwright developer. You can post your queries there as well. Are there any specific reasons why WebDriver.io no specific reasons as such actually? Like I saw these are the major players in the market actually. That's why I just made a comparison with them. Just like we don't have to compare it with Jest actually, because Jest is supported along with Playwright actually. You can run. Suppose if you are not using Playwright Test Runner, you can make use of Jest and Playwright actually. So in our project, we are making use of Cucumber and Playwright actually to run the test cases. Any limitations? Yeah, we cannot run test in IE. Challenges running in desktop browsers in versus mobile browsers. No, I haven't seen a scenario yet actually. Yeah, Etienne has given us the Source Labs link. How big and useful? Yeah, community support I have already mentioned. Yeah, WinApp driver I haven't used it actually. Yet actually, so I'm not sure about that one. How about BDD support? I'm not sure about SpecFlow actually. So I have written the test in TypeScript and Cucumber. So we just created the step definitions in Playwright and TypeScript. C# I haven't tried actually. I guess it should get supported using SpecFlow as well. Does Playwright support component testing? Yes, you can actually do that to page route. There is a function called page route available. You can mock them and use the component testing. Any challenges in writing tests in writing TypeScript, tests in JavaScript than TypeScript? Yeah, there is a bit of a learning curve involved. This is my first project in TypeScript actually. So I guess it has a lot of typecasting actually, and we'll see through a lot of errors actually in the TypeScript actually when we are actually writing them. Not much challenges. There is an initial learning curve is still there actually. Does Playwright have inbuilt function for approval tests actually, comparing a test report to a baseline? No, there is no specific thing like approval checks and all are there. Yeah, I guess that's it actually. And thanks everyone. I hope this is it about the questions.
Thank you, Jitin. Thank you so much. That was a lot.
Thank you.
This was really a good session. I think you gave a very good insight of Playwright, and I actually wanted to know what Playwright is, and because we are using CodeCept.js, so probably we'll have a play around or work around with Playwright now.
Okay.
If we want to ask any questions to you personally, so you can have your email or something.
Yeah, I can post. You can. Yeah, I'll post my LinkedIn. Yeah, I'll ping you here itself in my email address and my LinkedIn thing. You can feel free to reach out to me in LinkedIn. But I'm not an expert also. Because this is a new JS library. So I have to. Everyone has to learn through it. Actually, these use cases.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, until you practice, it doesn't come up. The more we practice, the more thing we'll get. But yeah, in case we have any questions, but really good session. Then thanks for that.
Can we get the presentation? Because
I can send through that as well.
So Jitin, you'll be sharing the source code as well?
Yeah, it's there in that link actually. So that's actually in a public repository. So you can access them from that repo. It's actually, I have put in all the links also, which I have in that README file. You can play around with that one.
Vikas or Jitin, I joined little later. So can I get the recording session, please?
No, we'll not give you anytime soon.
Yeah. So for NAP people, we are not giving because they already use Cypress.
Sure. I mean, if you really need it, more than happy to share it. Yeah. So thank you, Jitin. That was a wonderful session. I'll say, and there were a lot of questions, and then you have covered all of them very skillfully, which was great. And every aspect of Playwright you have covered, which was wonderful. And then presentation was great. The questions were great, and everybody really got involved in it, which was wonderful. And with that, I would like to do a few announcements that we have reached. Stag has reached 1,500 members, which is a great thing. So a round of applause to everyone. And I would like to thank Jitin as well, I think, because you have picked up such a wonderful topic. There were around 20 people who signed up today. Okay, so I was thinking of giving some gift to the 1,500th member, but then I see 20 people, so I don't know to send one. So if anybody in this today's meeting now has joined today, please do tell me. I'm more than happy to send a surprise gift for you.
I think Mahesh was new actually. Mahesh Murali.
Okay. Even I joined.
Okay.
If there is a surprise gift before we can.
Okay. All right. So I'll make a note of your names, and then you're all based in Melbourne, are you?
No, I'm from UK.
UK. Okay. Anybody in Melbourne? Close by?
I think Archana also was there actually. Archana,
I'm in Sydney.
I think Archana was there from our team.
Yes, Jitin, I'm there, and we have got a couple of our folks as well. Suman is there. I can see Shilpa there. So great presentation. So I'm looking forward for you to present internally as well.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I was about to say, Archana. That we should have internal session with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody in Melbourne, just one final call for the gift?
Kapil.
I think I would give it to Jitin Vikas because he deserves that. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the best presentations I think we have attended.
You said it right because of him. If 20 people have joined, he deserves it.
I think the session was a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely he deserves for me at least. Yeah.
Yes. And few more announcements. Actually, the company that I am working for, Digio, is hiring. And if anybody is interested, please feel free to send me a mail. I've shared the job description there. And coincidentally, it's again about JavaScript. So if you're interested, please message me. More than happy to refer you. And yes, really wonderful talk on a milestone day where speaker is great, questions are great, audience is great, and then we have reached 1,500 members, which is very, very great. And please feel free to comment, review, or give any stars on the meetup page. That will come in very handy. Then I'll definitely share the recording maybe in a month's time. The reason why we delay it purposely is we want people to join in the live session rather than wait for the recording. So that's the whole point. And Thank you so much for taking time off and then joining in. And thanks, Jitin, once again for the wonderful session. And then thank you everyone for wonderful questions.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Okay.
Thanks, Jitin and Vikas, for making this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I guess.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, before we go, so where is the GitHub link or how to get that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. I'll give it now itself. So it's
Yeah.
in my personal repo. So you can see. Don't use it for any design pattern. There is no specific design pattern in there. These are just independent scripts actually. I just put them in the chat.
Yeah, I think it's just to get the basic understanding, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so everyone, so I've sent Jitin's LinkedIn page in the reminder email as well. So feel free to connect to him. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to help you out with any of your queries. Okay, cool. Thanks
guys.
Everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, because thanks.
Bye.
Yeah.